Greetings technology junkies, wherever you may be. It's Rowan J Parker here, back with one of my occasional tech review videos. Now today is the 1st of November 2013 and I have just arrived back from the Apple store on Buchanan Street in Glasgow, and predictably, I think you can guess, yep, this is what I bought. It is the new Apple iPad Air 128GB Wi-Fi version in white and a rather fetching silver. So guess what? Oh yeah, it's the unboxing video. We're going to unbox this sucker, have a look at it, do a quick comparison, quick overview of the specs, see what we've got in store. Should be a lot of fun. Right, so let's get right down to it, the unboxing video. Let's rock. Now before we begin, let me tell you a tale of tablet ownership which stretches all the way back to the original iPad, which I bought on release day in 2010. Now I absolutely loved that tablet. The original iPad was fantastic, obviously unique at the time. It was really good for my work and also for media consumption. I use it an awful lot. So when the iPad 2 came out, I really didn't regard that as being a compelling reason to upgrade, so I didn't get an iPad 2. However, when the 3 was released with the Retina display, then yes, that was a good reason to upgrade, and that is my current iPad still, an iPad 3, about to be superseded by this one. Now, I also had a dalliance with a Google Nexus 7 tablet, which is undeniably a really good tablet, and the price point it was released at the time was fantastic, really cheap. But unfortunately, I found I just didn't use that tablet that much. It typically used to sit under my bed with a dead battery, and I didn't use it for weeks on end. So I still have that tablet, but obviously I'm going to be getting rid of that. I find that I like a large form factor in a phone. My current phone is a Sony Xperia Z Ultra, which is a 6.3 inch display, massive for a phone, but good for me, and I like a full-size tablet. But a 7-inch tablet factor for me is not that useful. So 7-inch tablet, pretty much no, not what I want. So iPad 4, which I bought for my wife last Christmas, is a very, very good device, but I just again didn't feel it was enough of an upgrade to justify me purchasing a new one. But when the iPad Air was announced, yes, it became pretty compelling because of the weight, much lighter and a smaller form factor, really shrunk the bezels down, and the upgraded internals. So that's why I have upgraded to the Air. So without further ado, let's get right into this and unbox this sucker. Now, of course, to do this tricky job properly, we will need the correct tool. And the correct tool in this case is the kitchen knife of oblivion. Now, this knife has been featured in several of my unboxing videos, on the Sony Xperia Z Ultra and also on one of my television unboxing videos. God, I am sad. Yes, I am, but there is the tool we're going to use, the kitchen knife of oblivion, aka the kitchen knife of doom. So let's turn this boy over and get straight into unboxing it. I'm careful not to slice my finger off. Being a musician, I have to be very careful about the old fingertips. Otherwise we're going to end up like Tony Iommi from Black Sabbath. And no one really wants that. Alright, so cellophane off. And let's see, we will open it this way. Hard to do. I'm just leaning over the camera. Oh. Yeah, there we go. Ta-da! Alright, so what's in the box? Well, obviously the device itself. Put that down there. And what we got? We have the charger. Yes, standard Apple charger. Put that together in a moment. And USB charging cable with their little patented adapter, which doesn't fit anything else, which is incredibly useless, but there we go, and some various instructions, and I do believe that will be it. Yes, nothing else in the box, so fairly minimal. Okay, so I think what we'll do here is let's bring in a couple of the other iPads just for a little bit of a comparison. Let me see. Let's take the wrapping off, shall we? Well, the first thing you notice when you hold this in your hand is that it really is an awful lot lighter than previous generations of iPad. I mean, my iPad 3 seems like a bit of a brick in comparison to this one. I noticed with the iPad 3 when I held it in my hand for a long period of time, I did get quite fatigued, quite tiring to hold. This feels a lot more manageable, and although maybe one-handed operation is not quite a possibility, certainly the bezels being shrunk down in the way that they have does make it feel like a much more manageable device. Okay, so before we bring in the other iPads, just for a comparison, let's just take you on a quick tour so you can see what we have. Home button, and got the camera up there, notification LED on the side, usual stuff. We have volume up and down, and the switch, which can either be used as a rotation lock or a mute. On the top, on off, and we have a headphone jack and microphones, camera on the back, and speakers and charging port at the bottom. So it's very standard. This is the way that iPads have been for quite some time now. About the colour, all the other iPads I've had have been black, but I didn't really like the new space grey colour. I actually thought that looked a bit ugly, so I've decided this time to go for white and silver, which is very classy looking. Alright, now let's bring in a couple of the former contenders for the crown of the greatest tablet in the world, previous generations of iPad. So, first of all, let's bring in the flagship, which has just been replaced, and this is my wife's iPad 4. Now this is interesting because you think you can see, because they have the same colour, easier to compare. I will lay one on top of the other and you can see just how much they've shrunk down the bezel. Look at that. The screen size is the same, but the bezel has been radically reduced, making it a lot more manageable in the hand. And yeah, the weight, yep, this feels like a brick now. It really does feel quite noticeably heavier. Should say that even though this is a much lighter device, the build quality does not feel in any way cheap or less than you'd expect for a premium Apple product. It feels very solid in the hand. But yeah, so light. And then if I bring in my current iPad, about to be retired after 2 years of loyal service, it is the iPad 3. Now, one other comparison we can make, and this really does feel heavy. I mean, this is quite a bit heavier than the iPad 4. This really just feels like a behemoth. One of the other comparisons we can make is we can see how much thinner the new iPad is. Hard to get a shot here. What I'll attempt to do is I'll attempt to get a shot of the side, but I think you can see visually there, yeah, shrunk a lot. Let me just oops, come on. Let me just move the camera a bit so you can see a side-on view of the two tablets, and we should be able to see, you know, the big difference that's been made in this department. I'll be with you in a second. Now, actually, from this perspective, it's quite hard to get a sense of just how much thinner the new iPad is, but I can assure you the difference is considerable. It may not look like much, but it really feels quite a bit different when you hold it. Also because the back is not nearly so curved. I think ergonomically it just feels a lot more comfortable to hold. It feels a lot more like an iPad mini. So if you've used an iPad mini, you'll know exactly how this feels. It just feels like its bigger brother. So it's great handleability, great usability. We'll turn these screens over as well, just to see if we can get a better sense of the slimmed down nature of the new iPad Air. So again, back with you in 1 second. And I think you can see in this shot that, yep, iPad 3 altogether a much chunkier beast, whereas the Air svelte slimline does actually feel a lot more modern. Okay, there we have it. Alright, well what we'll do is we'll get this boy powered up for you. I'll have a quick look at home screen and so on, bit of iOS 7 before we sign off. Okay, I've gone ahead and set this up. Incredibly simple to do with an iCloud restore. So it really makes the process of getting a new iPad fairly painless. So let me just whisk this out of the way while I enter my passcode. Don't want you to see that. And we see that yeah, it's got a lot of stuff to download because all my apps to download. Now this is the 128GB model. I found that on my previous iPad I had a 32. I really was struggling for storage on that particular device, so upgraded to the largest capacity I could get. Expensive I know, but I'm fairly certain this will all get used up. Alright, now, well, let's give you some of the raw technical specs of this particular device. So, height it is 9.4 inches tall, and it is 6.6 inches wide. Depth only 7.5 millimeters, and the weight is just 1 pound. 1 pound, so amazingly light. The display, they have not upgraded the display from last year. It's still a 9.7 inch Retina display. Resolution is 2048 by 1536, which gives you a PPI, pixels per inch, of 264. So there are definitely higher resolution displays out there now, but still the display looks absolutely fine. Now the most significant upgrade for this particular version of the iPad is the new processor inside. It's now the Apple A7 chip, 64-bit architecture with the M7 Motion coprocessor, which they claim will have a big increase in performance. Now obviously I've just got this device so I can't give you an impression of that, but it does seem amazingly fast at the moment. There seems to be no lag. Not that particularly the iPad 3 was much of a laggard, I didn't really notice that much, but this certainly seems incredibly zippy indeed. So this is the Wi-Fi version. I really saw no need to get the 4G version with a SIM card because I will tether with my phone. That's normally what I do. I have unlimited tethering on my mobile plan, so it doesn't make sense to me to have another SIM card and another contract. What else can we tell you? The battery is obviously a bit smaller than previous generations of iPad, but they claim through more efficient processor and power saving technology to achieve the same sort of battery life, which they claim will be up to 10 hours. So we'll have to wait and see about that, but usually battery life on an iPad is exceptional, and normally Apple don't make unrealistic claims for their battery. If anything, sometimes it's a little conservative. So yeah, it's all looking really good, and of course we've got iOS 7 on board. Now I put iOS 7 on my iPad 3. I actually quite liked it. I thought it was a much needed improvement and update to iOS, which is getting a little bit long in the tooth. I'm an Android user on my mobile phone, and I've got to say I prefer Android to iOS, though I don't really object to either operating system. Okay, well, I think, you know, I won't bore you to death with any more of this. I will have to use the device for a few days just to see exactly how it performs, and then I may come back and do a full review. Alright, well, thank you very much for watching. This has been Rowan J. Parker with another of my occasional unboxing videos, and we'll catch you next time, and in the meantime, keep rocking. Farewell.